Hi, everybody. Hope you're doing marvelously well. In this episode, we're going to talk about basic automation moves that will really, really help your mixes be magnificent. So these moves I will do on pretty much every mix. They're very straightforward, but they're very logical, and they will help lift choruses, create width and depth. So here's a track by We Were Astronauts, which I have mixed before, and it's called Golden. And if we just listen to the top of the song here, we've got an intro guitar coming in here. And the moment it's panned center. What can we do to create more impact? I've got an overall drum bus here. Pretty massive kick. And it's pretty aggressive as well. So why don't we do this? I'm going to grab an EQ. So I've gone to about 90, 100, and I've done a high pass, which is getting rid of the low end below that frequency. Still sounds like a kick drum. Sounds like a 70s kick drum. Why don't we try taking off some of the high end? Let's maybe narrow it a little bit to like 6 or 7K. Try that with everything. Have a little bit of the guitar beforehand. So I've got kind of a mid-range guitar, but I've still got a really big, full-sounding bass. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put another EQ on the bass. And this time it's going to about 150. So it's out of the way of the kick drum on the EQ that we just created. And I'm going to bring it down even more, so I'm going to get rid of some of the high frequencies above 1K. Let's have a listen to the bass. Here's the before. After. Now, let's go to the top of the chorus here, and I'm going to enable automation on both of these instruments. So we're just going to auto here. We'll just do a master bypass, add, and we'll go down and select automation. Now, whatever DAW you have, you should be able to automate all of your plugins. So I'm going to take the rest of the song from the chorus out and turn the EQs off. So the EQ is going to be on with that low end removed and that high end removed on the bass and the drums. Same thing here. Skip this EQ. Put the master bypass on. Like such. Now, let's listen to the top of the song. I've heard mixes with less low end on the radio than that, but it doesn't sound particularly out of place, does it? But let's see what happens when we come into that chorus. Like massive low end comes in. I mean, maybe we could adjust it so it's not quite as dramatic. So let's maybe put a little bit more in on the kick. We'll come down to about 80, but it's a great trick. And on the bass, maybe just a little bit below that, maybe about 130, 140. So now it's not quite as dramatic. Now, the next thing to do, as you can tell, the guitars are sitting on top of each other. Now, during the verse, kind of nice that they're not very wide apart. But let's pan the rhythm maybe 20% over to the left. And then there's that extra guitar that comes in that does that da, 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 that little delay. Let's pan that 20% to the right. So those two guitars will give us this. Let's go to the chorus and pan the guitars super wide. Like now one is going to be completely to the left and one is going to be completely to the right. So that should really help the impact of our chorus. Let's have a listen. Wow, so now immediately there's some width on that. It does feel like the left-hand guitar needs to come up in volume. So now some volume automation here. Let's grab the chorus there. Bring it out about 2 dB. Quite dramatic, but it will help balance out on that right-hand guitar. Now, there's a huge snizzle ton of low end going on. It's so dramatic when it happens. You wouldn't have noticed it before, but it's an enormous improvement, and it makes it so much more dramatic when that chorus comes in. So on the kick and the snare, let's bring up the volume on the kick, particularly this kick sample I put in because it's a little bit more aggressive. If you solo it here. Let's have a listen to it in the mix. Let's roll with the fun. It's aggressive, but it actually lacks a little bit of attack. Let's have a listen to it in the verse. There's enough room there for the attack to be heard. When the heavy guitars come in left and right, the attack disappears. So here's another moment for some automation. For metal, you'd normally go about 7K. For rock, about 2.5. Let's have a little search. Kind of like that 2.5K with a really, really wide Q. It's bringing up all of the ambience as well that's in that kick sample. So now I've got that nicely boosted. I'm going to make that, again, to be automated. So let's go and grab the automation here. So at the moment, it's off, and I'm just going to turn it on for the chorus. So now what's going to happen is the kick drum is going to come up in volume in that section. Let me bring it up a little bit more. But not only is it going to come up in volume, it's going to get brighter. So it's just going to cut through those guitars a little bit. Now let's think about the same thing with the snare. Now, with the density of the guitars, it might be nice to do two things. Bring up the snare. Let's try a couple of dB. But also bring up the reverb on the snare, just to make it feel just that bit bigger. See what that sounds like in the mix. Let's roll with the party. We were somewhere else, we'd all be golden. Let's roll with the party. We were somewhere else, we'd all be golden. We'd all be golden. We'd all be golden. I feel like for me, the bass is pretty darn loud. It's really pushing nicely against the drums. So if I go to the volume on the bass, I think what I'm going to do is bring the overall thing down ever so slightly. And then I'm actually going to turn down the bass in the first verse and the second verse. So the reintro on until the second chorus. And that way, I think it will give us even more dynamic shift, because we're really trying to not only preserve dynamics, but create even more dynamics. Let's roll with the party. We were somewhere else, we'd all be golden. That guitar on the right-hand side in the chorus is absolutely massive. So I think what I'm going to, believe it or not, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to bring it down ever so slightly. And I'm going to bring up the left-hand guitar a little bit more. This is all about using automation to just make impactful moments even more impactful. Now, what about we try the same thing on the vocal? So on the vocal, I've got the verse volume down, and then I've got the chorus volume coming up. I've also driven in reverb, so as there is more density of instruments, the vocal reverb will come up as more instruments are added. But why don't we do the same trick? Let's grab an EQ and just narrow the vocal just a little bit more. But what about if we do something quite dramatic for fun? Let's have a listen.
I can be your undercover lover. I can be whatever gets you through. I can be your undercover lover. I can be whatever gets you through. I can be your undercover lover. I can be whatever gets you through. I can be your undercover lover. I can be whatever gets you through. I can be your undercover lover. I can be whatever gets you through.
I like that a lot. And it's making me think about new ideas now. Now that I've narrowed that verse vocal, and again, we'll write in the automation. Let's take that whole section and automate it. So the EQ is going to be on only in that section. And the idea it's given me is like, I think to myself, I want like a little slap delay on there, like a mono slap delay. So let's create one. Because now we've got a telephone effect on the vocal that we just automated for only that section.
I can be your undercover lover. I can be whatever gets you through. I can be a superhero, deflecting all the things that they may say to you. And if you leave before the morning, just leave a note beside my bed.
I'm going to high pass and low pass it.
Let's roll with the party. We were somewhere else, we'd all be golden.
And I can choose to use the slap delay after or not. I'm going to take it off. So it's just going to be in that first verse. So now we have something special in that first verse. So I'll bring that volume down. So we've automated the slap delay there. We went for the slap delay because we made the vocal narrow sounding. And now let's have a listen from the top and see what else we can do to really make this chorus feel impactful. I mean, it's doing everything we want and more. It's getting absolutely massive. The surprise of the low end coming in is absolutely huge. It would probably completely scare the schnizzle out of the mastering engineer. We'll warn them about the change there. But it automating EQ, automating panning, and of course, automating volume. We did it on such a simple level there, but you saw how dramatic that can be. You don't necessarily have to go as crazy as we did and narrow the vocal down that much, or even the bass and drums, but just like little touches of it can be massive. Just removing some of the low end a little bit, maybe going from 40 to 60 on the drums. So maybe the kick doesn't have quite that subbiness until the chorus comes in. On the bass guitar, maybe going up to about 80 or 90, so it doesn't have the 60 kind of warmth that connects it so much to the kick drum. These subtle things can really make sections appear dramatically different. So I hope you enjoyed that. If there's any automation tips that you have that are simple but very, very effective, whether they be volume or panning or EQ moves, please let us know down below. Thanks ever so much for watching. So long. farewell, auf Wiedersehen, au revoir, adios, hey-do, ciao, goodbye, so long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, au revoir.